Stop guessing with your meta ad creative. You're just burning cash on ads that won't work. And every dollar you spend on unproven creative is an ad tax that you're paying for absolutely no reason. So after deconstructing how Foreplay, AdSpy, and every major ad tool pulls their data, plus analyzing hundreds of winning ads from the ad library, I discovered they're all missing something crucial. Here's a dashboard that turns the meta ad library into your own personal idea machine. It scrapes the meta ad library for my competitor's ad running longer than 30 days, a strong signal they're profitable. It pulls the ad, the copy, and the visual all into one place. But the key is the one simple automation that lets us feed these winning ads into our own creative process using our brand voice and all on autopilot. So by the end, you'll know how to build a machine that finds competitor ads proven to work. You'll know how to instantly repurpose winning scripts into your brand voice, as well as launching ad sets with a much higher probability of converting. So let me just show you how this all connects. We'll start with how we get competitor ads, and we're going to use N8N to pull this all together. And if you've not used it before, it's effectively a workflow automation tool. So it just connects all of our different software together visually in blocks, like you can see. The ad scraper itself is just trying to emulate and remove the process of you actually going to the ad library on Facebook and for your competitor, finding a bunch of your competitors' ads, looking at how long they're performing. So if we select all ads, we go to a platform like School and we click on their official page, and we can see all of the ads that are active under the School brand, i.e. School has paid for those ads. And what we can also do is filter and sort by the time the ad has been running. Now, because of data protection, we can't actually see the impressions the ad has got and how well the ad is performing, but there's indicative clues of how well an ad is performing. And the best clue for that is how many times the creative has been used, as well as the length that that ad has run. So if you think about it like this, an ad is going to run longer if it's performing well, because they're not going to cancel that creative, not going to cancel that ads, and they're going to continue putting money into it because they're getting a good return on ad spend back. So you can think of this scraper emulating that process, but doing it automatically for you. So there's some key sections that I'll run you through, and it's designed to run once per day or once per X time period that you want it to run. And we're basically just looking for winning ads that we can filter and therefore repurpose for our own ads in our own brand voice, which we'll show you later. So the first section is just pulling all of our ad pages, and we're using Airtable as our central database here, as we normally do with our end-to-end systems, but you can swap this out for whatever you want. But we've built out an interface inside Airtable, which has the different parts of client onboarding. So we might put our brand guidelines, etc. in here and our creative styles. But the thing we're going to look at right now is adding ad pages to this Airtable. So this is just a reflection of the back end, which is an Airtable database, much like a Google Sheet. And what we're saying is, okay, we want to monitor Alex Hormozi's ads, School's ads, School Ad Labs, and a bunch of other of these examples. So we'd actually go and get their page ID from the ads, from the Facebook Ads Manager. And you can see that if you find the brand on the Facebook Ads Library, you can see it in the URL. It's this end page ID here. So we're going to copy that, and we're able to effectively add an ad page down here. We'd give it a name. So we're just going to paste in the ID here, and we've got School already in here. But what we're going to say is actually, how many ads do we want to take? Maybe we want to take all of the ads in the last 90 days, or maybe if we're running this every day, we just want the most recent unscraped ads. So it gives flexibility in how many ads we can actually scrape. And then we might want to set a limit on how many we actually want to scrape, and that's because it's going to cost us to actually scrape. So right now we're using a scrape from Appify that's going to be 75% 1,000 ads. So it's extremely cheap. You can pull 1,000 ads for less than $1, and it defaults to 100 if you leave this blank. We've got the scraping status. When it starts scraping every day, it will update this status to scraping so that we know it is then scraping. It tells us when it's last scraped, and we can see the record that we just add is not scraped, as well as the count of the number of ads we've got in our database. So you can see we've got about 150 to 200 in the database at the moment. And the output of this is going to show us this really nice looking dashboard of all of the different ads that we can scroll down, have a look, and actually click into. So say we wanted to then repurpose this ad in here, we could click into it, and we've got all of the information around the ad text, the caption, the title, the call to action, the body, everything we'd need to understand if this is an ad that actually we want to repurpose for our brand. So the way we get to this point, firstly, grabbing the pages to scrape. So we want to understand which pages we're scraping. And the next key step is actually pulling those ads. So we're using Appify, and it's this Curious Coder Facebook ads library scrape. And what we're passing in is, do we want to scrape all of them or just the active ads? And right now we're going with the shotgun approach where we're going to pull all ads and actually filter it in our dashboard. What countries do we want those ads from? The count, so it pulls in automatically the count there. And then we're going to pass in a URL which contains all of the filters that we've passed back in our ads pages here. And if you just type in Curious Code of Facebook ads library scrape, you will go straight to Appify and it will show you the exact scraper we're using. Like we mentioned, it's 75 cents per 1,000 ads. And it's got a bunch of information that comes back that's going to be really valuable for us to determine whether this is an ad that we'd actually want to replicate for our brand. The next key section is all about ad quality filters. So we mentioned that there are two big indicators that an ad is performing well for a brand. If an ad's performing for one day, then they're probably not have enough data to understand if that ad is performing well. So what we want to do is focus on the ads potentially that have been running for 30, 60, 100 days and are still putting money into those ads, because those are the ones that are likely to be giving them a good return on ad spend. So we've got these optional ad quality filters. And right now we're not using those because what we're actually just doing is sorting by the oldest ads, pulling the 30 longest running ads where we set the 30 longest running ads from that list there. And we're choosing to then filter that inside the Airtable. But if you wanted to filter it here beforehand, you could just add these two into the flow as well. Here comes the slightly more complex bit, which is that ads don't just come in one type, right? You have video advertisements, you have image advertisements, you have carousels with multiple images, and then you also have DCO ads, or dynamic creative optimization ads, where they're basically dynamically populated. So those DCO ads can either be image or video at the moment. So what we're having to do here is determine what is the content type based on the input from Appify Scraper down here. And I'll copy in an execution so you can see exactly this. So it's determining, okay, the input type, which is the display format, is video. And therefore, it's going to take a deterministic path based on the fact it's video. And we're going to do the transformation with that data before we put it back into our Airtable as a scraped ad where we can visually see those scraped ads. So if it's a video or a DCO video, it will go down this path. And what we're effectively doing is we want to take an ad once and never take duplicates. So we're removing duplicates. We're pulling the thumbnail because we want it to be displayed really nicely in our dashboard so that we can easily glance at ads and choose which ones we want to repurpose. And then we're doing some data filtering. We don't want to bring ads that are videos that are 10 gigabytes long or 2-hour ads. We just want small ads, otherwise it's going to break our workflow. What we're doing then is identifying, is that ad currently in our database? And if it does not exist, we're just putting that directly into Airtable database. So we're sending the content that we've got from our Appify Scraper into our database, which is title, the reference back to the brand. So we want everything to be linked throughout our table. The ad status, which is active here. The type, the ad library URL, so we can click through to it. Any files, and also add text. The collation count is a really important metric that we're not using right now, but potentially you'd want to use, which is how many times that ad has been used in an ad set. So if it's more than once, it suggests actually that is a good ad or an ad that's starting to perform for a brand. And then we pull things like the body, the caption, the profile picture, the link, etc. And what that looks like in our interface, if we go to video, are all of these different video ads that you can see that we've pulled from these various brands as examples, like the Alex Hormozy ones here, that you can click into. You can see the thumbnail we've pulled to make it easy to see. And then you can also click in here and load up the video because we've put it directly into Airtable. But the beauty of this is we're not just taking those ads to look at, we're taking those ads to repurpose. So at this point, we've got all of the information from the ad text that we've pulled from Appify. But here's where the real magic starts, which is you've got winning ad formats. We know that this has been active for 9 days. 9 days is not necessarily an indicator that it's a good ad. But say this was 30 days, for example, we might say, okay, this ad is performing well. Do we want to emulate it? And do we want to emulate that for our own brand? And actually, we've set it up so that when you hover over these, you can see in the bottom left corner just a glance of what was the title of this video ad, because we're on the video tab up here, and how many days was it running. So these were running for 105 days. So they're clearly very promising ads. And these are from the ads lab who are testing various video ads as well. But we've segregated it by images, by carousels. So you can see images here, and then we've just got one example carousel from school itself. And if we click into that, you can see all of the different images from the carousel there. And what we're able to do when we import those ads is analyze every image and take all the text from that so that we can then create winning ads from a formula that we know is proven and working. So we've got the winning ad formats. Now it's time to actually create our own. So let's say, for example, we were running ads to our school community, which is linked down in the description below. We would probably want to look at our competitors or other communities that are in adjacent niches that are running ads and seeing what works for them so that we can actually emulate that too. So we've got an example here from Grow with Evelyn. And Grow with Evelyn is a fantastic community on school that teaches you all about how to grow your brand and grow your school. So one of the things they teach is ads. So we've got this actually from Grow with Evelyn, and you can see the image here that is actually being used as an image ad. And we've got the title, Come Back, Join the Waitlist, because Evelyn runs a waitlist to her community. The caption throws it to school.com, to About page. And then we've got the ad body here. So still thinking about it. You visited my page, so you know I've spent 10 plus years mastering digital marketing, building systems that generated 35,000 members and 65,000 customers. Every strategy, tool, teaching, and treasure I've collected on this journey lives in Grow with Evelyn. You can see this is actually really compelling copy that we might want to use for our own. So what we're going to do is actually use this and do it in our brand voice. So we've got this little tick box here, which is import for ad generation. Tick the box if you want to create an ad like this, and it adds it to generated ads table. So we're going to tick that box. And what that's going to do is activate our second workflow, which is all about pulling the information. And you can see the import status has just switched because our automation has started. It's all about pulling the information from this ad and actually how can we then create it ourselves in a new ad that's fit for our brand, that has an image for our brand too. So it brings us to the second automation, which does exactly that. We're basically pulling information every minute so we can import multiple of these adverts so that if we wanted to create 10 different ads with different angles off those in a different table, and we're taking an extra step here, which is we're using Google Gemini to actually take the video, take the image, or the images if it's a carousel, and actually extracting all of the valuable information from the image or the video, like the transcript, and adding that back to our Airtable. So you can see that this ad is now imported. So if we go back to the discovery window, we've got the ads launcher section. So inside the ads launcher, we've got a few different views. The first view is just a Kanban view of those ads that we've imported and they're ready to generate our own, or those that we've already used and generated ads. And you can see the examples that I've used to edit. So at the bottom here, we've got our new ad that's unnamed. So we're going to go into that ad directly and we're going to give it a title. We're just going to call it Test for YouTube Video. And you can see that we've got the reference ad. So everything links into each other. And in the backend data table, we've effectively got these ad briefs, but we've got a simplified view inside our interface. But all of this data includes everything that's referenced from the ad that we clicked import and all of the stuff that we're about to go through, which is how to generate an ad in our own unique brand voice, our styles, our image references, and applying it to our own ads so that we've got a winning formula immediately from the get-go, especially for the copy of the ad. And I just want to take a moment here to talk about the school community, which has this system inside. So you can go to school.com/scrapes or check out the link in the description. Go to Classroom, and inside the resource, we'll have all of these templates as well as a step-by-step guide on how to set this up for your own business. This is just version 1 of this meta ad system. We're going to much improve over the next couple of weeks. the way we handle images. We're going to add things like UGC videos generated from this as well. And we've got a bunch of other great systems already in here, including a full article writing system. You can check out my video on that on my channel, and it gives you fully sourced 2,000 plus word articles with human readable content that will help you with your SEO ranking. And we've also got a lead gen army, which has 11 different scrapers that help you generate leads through various platforms, for example, LinkedIn and auto DM. So check that out if you don't want to rebuild this system for yourself. But if we go back to the second scraper, it's very straightforward to understand the logic here. We're triggering on that Airtable tick box when we tick the imported. We're adding it to we're grabbing the record information. Again, understanding whether it's video, image, or carousel, because what we're going to do for a video, we're going to analyze the video and take the transcript so that we can take the wording from that video and repurpose it for ourselves. From the images, we're going to take the text from the images. We're going to take those separately and add those to our Airtable. And then for a carousel, we're obviously splitting out all of the images and doing the same steps here, but just for split images. So how then do we take an ad that we like and repurpose it in our own voice? So we've got a section here, which makes it very intuitive. And again, this is just an example interface, so you can build this out however you like and edit with the Airtable in the school. You get complete access to that. And what we're going to do is go down here and add our information around what ad we want. So we know that this original ad was an image ad. So we have the option to even change the style and format. And if we want a video ad, it will output a transcript for us for a video. But what we're going to do is just use the example of we've got a winning ad format, an image, and we want to produce an image ad from that. We then want to add a brand voice. So I've got a few different here, including our Scrapes AI community voice. And I'll show you how we can get a client or ourselves or add multiple brands in here that link back here. So in the onboarding section, if you were producing this, for example, we add things like brand guidelines and creative styles. So inside these brand guidelines, we can add a new brand guideline, which is what's our brand name, give it a name of the guideline that you're going to be able to refer to. We're going to talk about tone of voice, style of sentences, word usage. We're going to give it some example copy, as well as talk about our product and audience. And then finally, I'll add our brand colors so that we can generate both copy in our brand voice that matches our style, as well as the images, which will take inspiration from our brand colors. And we also have the ability to add your logo to this so that when we're generating images, it will take your logo and add that to things. So we've got various different ones here, but you can see that we've got an extensive voice in here for the Scrapes AI community, as well as examples of social posts that we've done so that it really understands how we talk and makes it as closely aligned with our brand as possible. We've then got a little bit about the product and audience. We've taken information from our school about page, which is our sales page around the audience. And then you can see we've generated a bunch of ads and we've added a brand color that's an orange down there. But it's really important that if you're creating this for yourself, that you build out these examples really thoroughly, because the better you have the context, the easier it's going to be for the AI to understand and repurpose the ads. The LLM models producing this are really powerful, but only if you give it the context to be powerful. And we've got a few resources inside the school community that would definitely help with filling out all of this much easier. One that springs to mind is actually this section about getting AI to write copy like you. So there's a full set of threads and a video on how to set up the LLM or how to produce a brand voice guidelines and that then effectively helps AI to write in your style of voice. And you can see that for me, it was outputting posts that appear to be human written and not actually generated by AI. So that's really important when you're generating ads. You want it to be as closely aligned with the winning ad, but in your own tone of voice as well. So if we go back to the ad down here, we've started putting in information here, which just populates the database in the back end. We've then got a creative style twist. So this is when we're creating images for our ads. We actually only have one active style at the moment, but this is like you input a bunch of images and you've got a reference image from the original ad. What do you want to create in terms of graphics? So the next level of this is not only will it generate all of the copy, the call to action, and various variations that we can go through and just review rather than create from scratch. It will also generate assets, including the images, and then eventually in the future, the video. Now we've got it to the point at the moment where it does actually create images, but they're not perfect at the moment. We're still iterating and refining that. So we've got one creative style, and you can see that we've got multiple others here. So maybe we just want to take the original ad and actually just do a color palette swap. We'll take the ad, carbon copy, change it to our branding and add our logo, keep the same words, etc. Maybe we want to combine multiple images together and we can actually give it functionality to do that. Maybe we want to resize images. So all of these, I just want to stress, are not working at the moment, but the one that is like, how can we emulate an existing ad? So if we click on that, that's effectively in our onboarding process. We have these creative styles where we add prompts. So if we wanted to add a new style, it's like, okay, what would you enter into Nano Banana Gemini Flash 2.5 image preview to actually generate an ad in a style that we like? So we've got all of these that we just mentioned we haven't tested yet, but an example is emulating existing, where we have the style prompt, which gets put into our prompt generator later. And it says, generate a new ad creative by replicating the visual style of the attached reference ad, emulate its distinct color palette, lighting scheme, and compositional structure, replace the original subject with new product description. So it's going to replace these variables with our own references, and update the text to say new headline text. The new ad must match the original's overall mood and aesthetic. So how can we emulate that existing ad, but transfer it to our brand? That's what we're basically saying. And then I've added a description here, take our existing ad, apply our own creatives. So if we go back to the ads launcher, we'll go back to the ad. We've given it style twist, and then something that's a future addition to this flow in the next week or so will be the aspect ratio. So getting it to produce and the correct aspect ratio is technically quite difficult, but really important if we want ads that are ready to go and publish. We then have ad instructions. So we might say, okay, we want to add an image of our school about page. So this is my product, right? So I'm uploading my product image, which is my about page where people can come and purchase the community. And you'll see this if I load it up here. We've got our catalog community and also a reference image that people have been to our school community. If we're retargeting them, we'll understand. And then we've got ad instructions. So I'll just say something like, take the original ad and swap out my product. And then we can attach additional things. We've already got our logo inside our brand voice in here. If I open this, you'd be able to see that. And then what we're going to do is just hit generate ad. And that is going to start our third workflow. And you'll see it will pop up generating or error if there's an error. And that third workflow is called the meta ad system ad generator here. And we'll go through an example and then what the outputs actually look like. But this system is designed to generate copy and images based on our inputs that we'd previously taken. So if you remember, we took the text, the transcript, and then we've analyzed and taken information around the specific ads. So if we go into the ad briefs again inside the table, with all of our ads that we're effectively have imported, and we've called those ad briefs, you'll see that we've got this media description. So this media description pulls all the information from the ad after we've analyzed it. So the workflow we just showed you pulls all this information. And if we open up the media description, we'll see for the one we're just generating now, the image is a banner with a light teal background adorned with watercolor style green tropical leaves at the top. And I'll just show you again the brief. And this is the ad from Grow with Evelyn. A woman with medium length brown wavy hair is positioned on the right side of the banner, looking towards the right. She is wearing a tropical print halter top. So it's like nailed exactly the scene here. And the magic in this is now we can recreate that with our own product in its place. But not only that, it's also pulled all of the information around the wording in this transcript reference. So we've got Grow with Evelyn, and you can see that it's taken the two sets of text only and put into our transcript reference. And every field here with the reference is like, what was our reference in the first place? So everything links back to each other. You can see all of these different tables, which all have a link between. So it's now generating those ads, which are then going to be populated in our draft ads. And you can see in this table view, it's not very pretty to look at. But if we go back to our interface on Airtable here and we click add drafts, you can see all of the different ads that we've generated around that. So we're starting to get some ads pull through, and we'll look at the execution in a moment. If we look at this one that's just been generated, we've taken our brand color, which was the orange. It's applied our logo that was in the brand input, and it's also added our image verbatim on there. So build real AI automation systems and turn them into revenue. And that Sunday evening reporting task, let's eliminate it, which I believe was the title. So we've told it to take the title and apply it onto the ad itself. We've got some other examples that we previously created from the same ad. So we've got Saw You Looking, ready to build, and it's the AI Automation Academy. It's applied the colors and it's added that blue teal background. So you're going to get a mix of results here. It's not going to be perfect, and we're improving the prompt for the actual image generation as we speak. But you can actually end up with some really cool ads or great creative inspiration, and you know that using winning formulas. And the bit that is already excellent is actually, if we click into one of these ads, you can see all of the information that it's created as well as the reference material. So inside here, we've got the new body, which is trying to emulate the original ad, but in our own copy. So the best way to see the difference here is actually going to add angles, because we have a table-like view of all the ads that we've generated, as well as the body, the call to action, etc. And we can look at the original ad. So we've got the asset in here. We've got a transcript, which is effectively text we could add to our image. And then we've got the original ad reference. And if we go back to the original ad reference, we click into that, you can see the ad details. So it was, the ad body was still thinking about it. You visited my page. So you visited my page. You know I do this. Our community has this. And then it's got 3 ticks of this is what you get inside the school. If we go to the ad that it's generated down here, you'll see that it's emulated that structure, but done it in our tone of voice, as well as incorporated our product marketing. So imagine this Monday morning, your pipeline report is already built and waiting in your inbox. You haven't spent a single minute on a spreadsheet. For most, that's a dream. For our members, it's standard. I spent years refining automation systems that give back time, not just hours, but the mental space that work consumes. This is for you if, and then it's got 3 ticks. Stop working on weekends to catch up on admin tasks, build reliable systems your whole team can use, focus on strategy, not data entry. Let's automate the boring work so you can get back to what matters. And then the associated ad is like that Sunday evening reporting task. Let's get it done. And you can see, if I go to my school about, that the wording is very similar to how I'd speak here. It talks about systems. It talks about elimination of manual work. It talks about different things we do inside the community. And it's nailed that with the correct context. So the copy is fantastic. And for every ad that we want to generate here, it's going to generate 5 different angles for us. And that's all inside the prompt inside the workflow here. So if we go to the generator, now we can talk through the key sections inside this generator. And like I said, if you don't want to build this out for yourself or just take inspiration from it, you can grab this system end to end, as well as a setup video inside the community. So we're pulling all of our ads from the reference advert. So we get the ad brief. We're pulling the brand guidelines, which will pull things like our logo. We're getting the creative style. So we talked about that one creative style that's active, emulating that. And we're also pulling something not being used yet, but will be used later, which is an aspect ratio image, so that we can produce an ad in the correct aspect ratio. And this section is all about getting all of those inputs from these different sections, like the onboarding, the branding, voice, etc. And then the magic is in the prompts, where we actually generate the copy based on the reference adverts and our brand voice. So we have 2 sections here. We have the ad generation, which is all about the copy, and that always creates 5 versions, but you can actually change that in the prompt. And then we have the more complex bit, which still needs work, which is the image generation and storage. So for every ad, we generate multiple images, and we're passing that into a sub workflow here, this image generation sub workflow, which is using Nano Banana, passing in a bunch of images and asking it to apply that by creating a prompt dynamically. So we'll give you a quick look at how these prompts look. So we'll give you a look at all of the inputs here. So we've got the reference ad information, like the original type of ad. the new type that's being created. So is it a video and now it's going to be an image ad? We pull in things like the transcript. So for videos, that's spoken words. For images and carousels, it's the exact text taken from the images. The voice guidelines from our brand guidelines, and a bunch of other branding information. So product info, previous successful copy. And then we've got a bunch of instructions, which is all about how do we take this information and actually emulate that ad and produce an ad that has great creative and great copy. So we're using a couple of different angles, which are really important here. And we've basically given it 5 different marketing methods to create 5 different angles of the ad here. So we've got 5 different variation. The first variation, for example, is direct adaptation, closest to the original with minimal brand adjustments. Second one, emotional amplification, enhance the feeling or benefit. And what that gives us is 5 angles that we can then go and review. So for a given winning ad formula, we've got 5 different angles. We decide, okay, that one resonates with us well. Let's start to do the creatives for that. And the next step then is actually generating 5 images, one for each ad that's put alongside that ad. But as we're doing this, what we're going to do is actually separate the image creation. And in the future, this is going to look like ad angles, which is all about the creative copy. So we have 5 different ad angles per winning ad formula. And what we'll then be able to do is say, actually, that angle really resonates with me. Let's create multiple creatives because the creatives are harder to get right. Let's create multiple creatives per ad angle. And that will appear in the ad drafts, which you can see all of these different examples here from all of the testing. It's not perfect yet. We've got some great images here, but not necessarily good ad images. You see, like this one is quite creepy, but some very cool, like pencil sketch style, if that's the style that you're going for. So you can really create some powerful images. It's just actually prompting it in the right way. And what you want to do is create multiple ad angles, review those and say those are great, and then create multiple creatives per ad angle and test a variety of those or choose the one that's best for you. So that's where this template and system is going. And we're also going to integrate the ability to create UGC images and UGC videos from this, but it's not in the current version as it is. Now let's quickly talk about the pricing of the different scrapers, and also for this image generation, the ad generation. So we already spoken about the ad scraper, which is actually where all of the cost comes in for scraping the ad library, which is just 75 cents per 1,000 results. So you could literally have thousands of these for less than $5. And you actually get $5 free in the Appify free plan. And I'll link an affiliate link down below. If you've not signed up for Appify, you get $5 free every single month. So you could have more than 7,000 ads in your Airtable base for that price. Now, the second cost might come from Airtable's pay plan. So if we're uploading images inside Airtable, much like we're doing inside here, you only get a gigabyte per base or per table like this, free storage. So you might have to upgrade to the paid plan for Airtable, or you just change database. If you don't use Airtable anyway, it's quite easy to plug and play these templates into other databases like Google Sheets or Superbase, whatever you use. So you can start at $20 a month and get 20 gigabytes of attachments there. Well worth it for the money you save if you're not going to use other tools that are very, very costly. And then finally, we can talk about probably the most expensive part, which is image generation, or also using Gemini Pro and Gemini 2.5 Flash for the image generation. You can see it's around 4 cents for an image, but that varies between 2 cents and 8 cents, depending on the complexity of what you're feeding in. And also you can see, for example, if we look at yesterday's usage for me, we can see the breakdown inside OpenRouter here of how much we've spent on each. So yesterday, for example, so in the past month, I've spent $5 on this, and you can see that a lot of that was in yesterday. But if we go back to the ad generation, you can see that I've actually generated all of these and I've been passing in a lot of context. If we go to the onboarding and we go to the brand guidelines, you see I'm passing in all this context to Gemini 2.5 Pro. When we create a copy, the copy's very, very cheap. Gemini 2.5 Pro, for this amount of context, is extremely cheap. It's just the ad generation and the image generation, rather, that's going to cost you a bit more. But you can see that over the period of today, where I've heavily tested it, I've used $2.55. So if you're already using platforms or you're spending money on manually creating these, it's significantly cheaper to do it through this. We just need to improve the way that we're generating the ad creatives at the moment. Now, I just want to finish off by acknowledging that this isn't a full end-to-end system for meta ad creation, but it will be. We are working on adding functionality to this. One is the functionality we already mentioned around improved image generation and creatives for each ads, and actually generating multiple ads per ad angle when we like that ad. But also, this isn't the full picture. This doesn't at the moment have the ability to track your ads and understand performance of those ads, which you normally do inside Facebook Business Manager. And also, it doesn't have the ability to actually automatically upload these ads into your business account. So these are some things that actually we want to add to this full SEO system. And we're hopefully going to do in the next couple of weeks as we build this out for our own use case and we launch our own ads. If you enjoyed the content, then please give it a like and subscribe below. It really helps me reach a wider audience and some new viewers that could benefit from this. Thanks so much for watching.